From now on, we'll manage the house ourselves. You need to find another place to live. My brother and his wife, with my mother's support, want me out, treating me like an obstacle. Do they realize I've been covering the living expenses? It's surprising they'd be so disrespectful. In my head, I decided to take action. I'm Carrie, a 30-year-old woman living with my parents. After college, I tried to make it in the outside world, but found it tough. Initially, I searched for jobs while getting unemployment benefits. Later, I discovered remote work and became a freelance engineer, using my scientific skills. Starting with small projects, I earned modest income but gained valuable experience. Working from home allowed me to make enough money without dealing with people too much, boosting my confidence. I progressed steadily, taking on larger projects, and my income grew. After a year, I earned as much as a regular company employee. The issue is, my parents, especially my old-fashioned mother, struggled to understand my work-from-home setup, despite my detailed explanations. My father gets it, but my mother fears what she doesn't understand. No matter how many times I emphasized my commitment to my job, my mother would say things like, "How long will you stay home? I initially thought it was for your mental health, but it's been over 2 years. You should try working outside more." Despite my sincere explanations, she didn't quite grasp it. She often suspected my online work, saying, "You're just doing something online." How could I make her understand? Even with emails from clients and my salary statements, she wouldn't accept my lifestyle. She went as far as suggesting, "Isn't it some shady business or a weird religion you're into?" That's not true. I receive regular payments, and it's a reliable job. I explained, but she wouldn't budge, worrying endlessly about the possibility of it being unemployment benefits. I had thought about living on my own, but I hadn't saved enough money yet. Around that time, my father needed nursing care due to deteriorating health. He retired early, facing a sudden loss of income. When I expressed concern, he reassured me, "Oh, Carrie, I've got my pension. I'll make it work." Considering my mother's spending habits, I asked, "Are you sure you can handle it?" Regardless, we had to manage with our savings. My father looked tired, perhaps feeling anxious about the future. He supported me financially through college and even when I returned home due to mental health issues. Is it a good idea to leave my father alone and live on my own? My mother was also puzzled by my father's sudden condition. Wanting to give back, I decided to stay home and support the family. "Don't worry, Dad. I'll take care of things from now on." "Oh, really?" My surprised father questioned. "But I can't imagine you have that much income." "Don't worry, Dad. My current income is stable." To reassure him, I showed my bank account information. Since my father always understood my situation, I believed he would be convinced. "Carrie, I didn't know you were so solid." "Yeah, my income has improved lately. Can you help us out a little?" "Of course, you've done so much for us, so I'll support you from now on." "Thank you, Carrie." This commitment led me to cover the living expenses, my father's medical bills, and other costs. Every month, I transferred a set amount to my father's bank account to assist with household expenses, creating a new main card for my mother and giving her a supplementary card, as she had been using my father's credit card. Both my father and I saved money whenever possible, urging my mother to do the same. However, my mother, still suspicious about my support, suggested kicking me out of the house. My father, recognizing my financial contribution, convinced her it would be harder without me. Reluctantly, she agreed to let me live with them. I continued working while helping at home, but my mother took my assistance for granted and became strict. "Can't you finish your chores faster?" "Sorry, it's not easy. I'm working at the same time." "You keep saying that, but is it really that difficult?" My mother didn't understand, and our relationship became increasingly strained. My father understood my efforts, and we lived this way for a year. However, after a year, he fell ill and had to be hospitalized. I visited him daily. "Hey, Dad, how are you today?" "Thank you, Carrie. It doesn't seem to be improving, but I hope it's less of a burden for you." "Don't think that way. Taking care of you wasn't a burden. but I know you and Mom haven't been getting along. After my father's hospitalization, my relationship with my mother worsened. Living with her felt suffocating, but I still wanted to support both my parents as a family. I cherished memories of my mother making my lunchbox and putting effort into dinner when I was a student. However, my perspective changed when my brother Kevin and his wife Mary unexpectedly arrived one day. My mother seemed to have invited them without telling me. My brother announced, "We're going to live here now." I was shocked and asked why. He explained, "Mom was worried. She thought it might be tough for you to live here alone while Dad's not around." Surprised, I turned to my mother, but she avoided eye contact. My brother added, "We'll support you, Carrie." His wife, however, hinted at something more with a smirk. My mother stated, "Thanks, both of you. Carrie, be prepared to contribute. Otherwise, it might be hard for you to stay in this house." The situation with my brother and his wife being invited to our house was unexpected. My brother, with a degree from a prestigious college, worked for a solid company, presumably earning a good salary. However, I was also dedicated to my work. Could they manage without me? A new chapter of living together began. Living with them turned out to be more challenging than I thought. "Carrie, why aren't you up yet? Wake up and make breakfast." My brother's wife yelled, banging on my door. "I'm already up. I'm working early." I was fully awake and in work mode as a morning person. This was my most focused time of the day, and I wanted to spend it without any disturbances. "Really? Then get on with it and get breakfast ready." Do I have to make everything by myself? Our family usually had a relaxed morning, eating when and what we wanted. With my mother and brother's wife at home, I thought it was normal for her to prepare breakfast. She insisted, "We're living together, so we need to cooperate, right?" Reluctantly, I helped prepare breakfast, but they weren't satisfied. "Is this all you made? This isn't enough." I had prepared soft scrambled eggs, a lettuce salad, buttered toast, and a juicy sausage, a decent breakfast, I thought. Did I miss something? "If you don't want it, you don't have to eat it." They looked surprised at this response. "What's with that attitude? Who do you think you are? This is unacceptable. You should help with the housework." "But I have work to do too." "Work, really? I can't believe it. What kind of work is that? Are you crazy?" My brother and his wife questioned and scolded me. My brother, influenced by my mother, tended to look down on me and make fun of me. Despite this, my work time was precious. I headed to my room, packed my laptop, and left the house. "Wait, where are you going?" Ignoring my brother's voice, I went straight to my father's hospital room. He looked surprised as I entered. "Carrie, what's wrong? You seem flustered." I explained the situation, and my father expressed surprise. "I didn't know they were. I'm sorry, Carrie. Don't worry about it. You can choose your own way of life." Feeling lost, I thought about my mother's comfort with Kevin at home. My father reassured me, "You don't need to stay where you're not comfortable. I want you to live happily, so live your life the way you want to." "Thank you, Father." Encouraged by my father, I decided to leave home. When I returned in the evening, a tense scene awaited me. My mother, brother, and sister-in-law looked serious. "Where were you, brother? Weren't you at work? I had to take the day off because of you." "How could you take a day off for such a reason?" Internally, I was surprised at how easily my brother took time off work. Wasn't that too irresponsible? Gradually, my brother and his wife's voices grew more heated. "Get out of here," he declared. "Why?" I asked. "Carrie, from now on, the three of us will live together. If you don't want to stay, please leave. We don't need your overbearing presence to support us." They attempted to kick me out of the house. "Carrie, that's enough. You don't need to be here now that your father is gone." Strangely, my mother echoed my brother and his wife, treating me as a hindrance. Did she comprehend my financial contributions to the family? Despite her monthly purchases of branded goods, what would she do when her allowance was reduced? I felt furious. No matter how many times I explained, my mother, brother, and sister-in-law ignored my story. It was getting unbearable. so I decided to employ a little trick. First, I transferred the money from the bank account linked to my mother's credit card to another account under my management. I hoped this would surprise her when she could no longer use her credit card. Additionally, I moved some funds from my father's account, which had been supporting the family finances similarly. Only my father's medical expenses could be covered from his separate account, unknown to my mother. Consequently, a significant portion of the family's financial responsibility now rested on my brother and his wife. Not knowing the details of my brother's income, I was certain he would now feel the burden more than ever. After completing all the necessary formalities, I packed my belongings and declared, "I'm leaving this place." My mother, brother, and sister-in-law looked surprised at my words. Despite their constant harassment, they didn't anticipate that I would actually take action. But as I observed their expressions, it seemed like they were enjoying the situation. "You're finally leaving. I've never seen such a troublesome person. You won't be coming back, will you?" Their relentless belittling was unbelievable. "Of course not. Don't contact me." They smiled as I left, but what would they think after I departed? Internally, I smiled and embarked on a new life. My new home was peaceful, allowing me to savor my own time and concentrate on my work. As expected, one day, I received a call from my brother. "I told you not to contact me. What's wrong?" His voice carried surprise and urgency. "Oh, that? Yes, that's right. Why are you asking now? Why didn't you tell me? We had no idea." "Well, I did mention several times that I was working, but neither you nor Mom believed me, right?" Well, Mom said a lot of things, and I was a little confused, so that's not my fault, right?" "No, it's not. But I'm having a problem with money. Mom's been spending quite a bit. And on top of that, we haven't been able to pay the house utilities and stuff." "Yes, I was able to do it because I was supporting you in so many ways. I'm not home anymore, so you have to do it, Carrie. I need your help to transfer some money to my bank account." "What? I beg you. Can you transfer some money over now?" "You must be joking. You're working for a big company. Isn't that how you make a living?" "Well, actually, I got fired from that company." "What? Why?" "I made a big mistake. Was that before you moved back to our parents' house?" My brother's reply left me speechless. I guessed correctly. My brother may have come back to my parents' house thinking that there was enough money in the house. He probably thought he would be able to get by with a solid pension coming in after my father retired. I wish to convey to my brother that I played a significant role in supporting the family finances despite appearing idle. The thought of the surprise on his face when he discovered that I was the one maintaining the household finances, assuming they were stable, brought a certain amusement. The same revelation awaited my brother's wife and mother. My brother's wife implored, "We need your help. We're running out of savings." My mother echoed, "Your father is really upset about this. He won't contribute to the household finances anymore. We're in a tough situation. I've supported you enough. You're all healthy, so work hard and support yourselves. I'll cheer you on." A frightened voice came through the phone. "Reflect on your actions. I'm hanging up now. Don't contact me." "But Carrie, wait a minute." I distanced myself from my brother, his wife, and my mother. My father felt unable to return to his life with my mother, seeking legal advice and relocating to a different place. Fortunately, I could visit him daily. A friend updated me on my brother's recent situation. He had moved to a small apartment, living a frugal life. My mother, accustomed to homemaking, struggled with her newfound job. My brother, with his college confidence, found it challenging to adapt to younger staff's opinions in his part-time job, resulting in a short-lived employment. Among them, my brother's wife was the sole provider working diligently to support the family finances. However, it seemed the pressure became too much, and she eventually departed. Now my brother and mother are reportedly working hard together. Despite their efforts, my mother's tendency to overspend persists, and her debts continue to mount. I am concerned for her, but unfortunately, I can no longer offer assistance. I am currently putting in a lot of effort in a comfortable living space. My income is gradually increasing, and I'm contemplating trying something new. I aspire to visit my father daily and spend more time with him to witness his cheerful smile. Hi, I'm Harper and I've got a story to tell. I'm 27 now, but let's rewind to when I was 13, the moment life decided to throw me a curveball by taking my mom away. It was a tough time, and I felt like I was caught in a never-ending storm. But amidst it all, my dad Owen became my sunshine. You know those heartwarming moments. Like when Dad used to tuck me in at night, I would pretend to be asleep, but he'd whisper those comforting words, "Good night, my girl. Tomorrow is another day. Your mom is looking out for us from wherever she is." It might sound cheesy, but it meant the world to me. Dad became a completely different person. He was heartbroken, as we all were, but he somehow found the strength to put on a brave face for me. I could see the pain in his eyes, but he never let it show. That's the kind of dad he was and still is. There were days when I would walk into the kitchen just to see him cry, but he didn't notice I was there. Then, when I turned 17, Dad met Marfa, a very attractive woman who swept him off his feet. They fell head over heels in love, and would you believe it, they tied the knot. Now, Marfa had a daughter, Camila, who was pretty much my age. I didn't like either of them, but I knew that my dad was genuinely happy with Marfa, and that was worth more than anything else. It had been ages since I had seen him smile like that. When Camila and Marfa first moved in, it was tough, especially with my dad urging me to adjust and make them feel welcome. It felt like I was trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, but I did my best. When my dad left for work, it felt like Marfa and Camila had teamed up against me. They had their own secret language, little jokes, and moments they shared, and I often felt like an outsider in my own house. Once I tried to join in their laughter, but they exchanged one of those "we know something you don't" looks. I swear, I felt like I was the punchline in a joke I wasn't in on. Marfa, well, she was more focused on her new life and marriage, so she didn't pay much attention to me. But Camila, on the other hand, seemed to make it her mission to torment me. First, she would borrow my things without asking and return them in a horrible state. My favorite books had torn pages, and my makeup looked like it had survived a hurricane. When I would confront her, she'd just shrug and say, "Sorry, I didn't realize." Yeah, right. One day, Camilla crossed a line, and it was a line. I had drawn around something very precious to me. No one was home, and Camilla must have thought it was a perfect opportunity. She openly walked into my room, cigarette in hand. Before I could even react, she was making a disturbing attempt to set my Polaroid box on fire with her lighter. That box was a treasure chest of memories, full of Polaroids of me and my deceased mother. Each picture was a piece of my heart, a connection to a time that I could not bring back. "Camila, please put that lighter down. You're going to ruin something very precious to me." "Those are my mom's pictures," I pleaded. "You are such a buzzkill, Harper. Can't you just loosen up for once? Always with your nose buried in books and trying to please your dad. He's not even someone that I like, but hey, he's the one who's paying for this house and the food in the fridge. I can spend all his money if I want," Camila retorted. "How dare you say that about my dad? You and your mom have always made me feel like an outsider in my own home," I shot back. "Well, you know what? This is our home now, and guess what? I can make new rules. Rule number 1, I should always punish you whenever you cross me. Don't rat me out and tell my mom I was a smoking loser," Camila threatened. Camila dropped that lighter and set my mom's pictures on fire. It felt like my heart was ripped right out of my chest. Those memories, the only thing I had left of my mom, turned to ashes. I tried to explain what went down to my dad, but he came up with something unexpected. He said, "Camila's still pretty young, Harper. She's got to adjust to this new family and new life." It was not easy for her as well. Maybe she did not realize how important those pictures were. I could not believe what I was hearing. I felt like he was defending Camila, not understanding the hurt I was going through. I felt isolated, like my dad did not get the depth of my pain. So I decided to just let it slide. For another year, I had to deal with Camilla's hostility and her never-ending teasing. I thought maybe with time, things would change when Camilla and I headed off to college. Reflecting on those years we spent together, I couldn't help but appreciate my dad's patience and kindness through all the chaos. He had always been a good man, trying to do right by everyone. He even paid for both of our college tuitions, a gesture that spoke volumes about his character. College years ushered in a whole new chapter in my life. Camilla and I ended up at different colleges, which one might think would have made our encounters at home more bearable. However, it was quite the opposite. It felt like Camilla was always trying to compete with me, attempting to prove that she was the better daughter. Every time we returned home for holidays, Camilla seemed to up her game in the competition to exclude me from the family. Martha was in on it too. Rarely did they remember to invite me to family birthdays and celebrations. As college came to an end, Camilla and I found ourselves back in our hometowns, but our paths took different routes. Camilla was quick to secure a job and her own apartment, while I chose to take a break before diving into the job market. Despite having a degree in psychology, I was considering further studies and wanted to save up for it through part-time work. Camilla was always the go-getter. She landed a job straight out of college and was already on her way to establishing her independence. She rented her own place, while I had to move back into my dad's house. Camilla used to come over for dinner every weekend. "So, Camilla, how's your new job?" my dad would ask. "Well, at least I didn't move back to Owen's house, and it pays my bills, so I would say it's good," Camilla would reply. No, let's not start with that, girls," Martha would interject. "Camilla, Harper has her own path. Just let her be." "Yeah, but Mom, she's almost 23, and she has never even dated anyone. What's her problem?" Camilla would probe. "I'm just taking my time, Camilla. I have more important things to focus on right now," I would explain. "I've heard you're a big fan of romance novels, Harper. Probably the closest you will ever get to a relationship," Camilla would taunt. "Can we please focus on enjoying this meal together in her job? What does she even do? Work at Walmart?" Martha would redirect, attempting to diffuse the tension. "I'm striving to save up for another degree, but this time, Owen isn't footing the bill. I asked him not to. I want to do this on my own." "Camilla, let's not make this dinner uncomfortable," Martha interjected. "Harper's probably here because she can't afford to live anywhere else." Fast forward 3 years, and things have shifted. I had made progress in my career, working as an assistant psychologist with a senior mentor, and life was treating me well. I had moved into my own apartment, embracing my independence. While I was still single, my focus was on my career, and that was perfectly fine. Camilla had also moved forward, and I genuinely felt happy for her. She found happiness in a 2-year relationship with her boyfriend, Joey. He often appeared as a mysterious presence at our family dinners, but it was clear they were content together. It was no longer a constant battle from my end, at least, but she still acted immediately like we were teenagers competing for prom queen. One day, I received an unexpected call from Camilla. "Hey, Harper, you want to meet up? There's something I need to talk to you about." "Sure, Camilla. Is everything all right?" "Yeah, I'll explain when we meet. How about I text you the address of this restaurant?" "I know, sounds good. Let's meet there." I couldn't help but be taken by surprise when Camilla asked to meet up one-on-one. It was a first, and after all these years, I was intrigued. I couldn't wait to see what Camilla had in mind. It was Sunday, and I reached the address Camilla had texted me. 15 minutes later, Camilla arrived. "Camilla, you've never wanted to see me one-on-one before. What's going on?" "I do have some news to share with you." "Well, I'm all ears. It must be something big if you especially wanted to meet me all along." Joey proposed to me. "Wow, Camilla, that's amazing. Congratulations." "Yeah, it's pretty special. Look at my ring." Camilla flashed her huge ring at me. It's a massive diamond worth around $300,000. Joey said I deserve every penny he spent on it. It's beautiful, Camila. Truly stunning. I bet it's quite a step up from the kind of jewelry you're used to seeing. Well, yeah, it's definitely on another level. Not that it's your fault. You're always going to be in the low-income bracket, working as a psychologist. Or should. I'm an assistant psychologist, Camila. You know my profession helps people, and I'm proud of what I do. And speaking of helping, I heard you've been seeing a therapist yourself. Well, yeah, I've been going to therapy. Harper, it must be so lonely for you. Thanks to Alan. He has such a big mouth. He told me about how your first boyfriend, that photographer guy, cheated on you with some model. And that too within a week. You must feel so insecure. I mean, you shouldn't have seen it. Who would choose you over a model? I felt a bit betrayed, but I'm confident in who I am. That's the difference between us, Harper. I choose luxury, success, and beauty. You? Well, you're just content with mediocrity. Joey has always appreciated a woman who knows how to keep her man happy, something you could learn from. Maybe then you wouldn't be so lonely. You are the last person I would like to learn anything from. You have a lonely life and a job that does not pay half as well as you'd want it to. Camila, did you invite me here just to insult me and show off your ring? Well, you needed to hear it sooner or later. And I wanted to let you know something else while we're at it. You are not invited to my engagement party. I appreciate the heads up, Camila, but I don't need to attend your party. You better not tell my mom or Owen about this. And if by some bizarre chance you decide to show up with them, I'm warning you, Harper, I'll have you kicked out. We're going to have a classy event, and I don't want a poor, broke girl like you ruining the vibes. Don't worry, you will not see me there. I went back home, and the words Camila had thrown at me were still echoing in my mind. It's one thing to be honest, but she had taken it to a whole new level. I couldn't help but feel disrespected. Days passed, and I knew the engagement party had taken place. I saw the pictures of Camila posted on social media. Everyone was there except me. I didn't attend, of course. Part of me wondered what it would have been like. But I realized that I was better off without the toxic atmosphere Camila brought into my life. My dad gave me a call. Harper, I was really hoping you would make it to the engagement party. Camila was looking forward to seeing you. Oh, Dad, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it. I had an emergency patient, and you know how it is with work. That's understandable. But it was a lovely evening. Camila was stunning, and everyone had a great time. I'm just so happy for her. She's excited about the wedding. The wedding? You mean she's getting married soon? Yes, she and Joey are planning to tie the knot next year. In fact, she asked me to walk her down the aisle. I'm over the moon about it. You are walking her down the aisle? Yes, it's a huge honor. She said she could not imagine anyone else doing it. Well, that's wonderful, Dad. Anyway, I've got to go. Talk to you later. I had always hoped that Dad and I would create new memories together after the loss of my mom. It was the life I had envisioned for us. But instead, Camila was the one experiencing those moments. I was supposed to be the one walking down the aisle with him. Camila and I had never really connected, and it was no secret that she did not particularly like me or my dad. It was a mystery to me why she would ask my dad to walk her down the aisle, especially when it seemed like she was just doing it to rub it in my face. Well, it certainly worked, but not for long. I had my own life, and I believed I would have all those things too when it was the right time for me. About a month later, I was driving through a posh neighborhood on a sunny day on my way to see a friend when I spotted my dad standing in front of a grand mansion with a for sale sign in the yard. He was engaged in an intense conversation with a well-dressed man, and it immediately piqued my curiosity. The mansion was breathtaking, the kind of place that most people could only dream of living in. I pulled over to the side and got out of my car. Hey, Dad. My dad exchanged goodbyes with the man in the suit and walked towards me. Dad, I couldn't help but notice you in front of that mansion. Did you just buy it? I saw you looking over some papers. You caught me. Yes, I did just buy it. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you. But wait, is the house for you and Mara? No, sweetheart, it's not for us. Then who's it for? I'm doing a favor for an old friend, and this mansion is for him. A mansion like this. Jesus, Dad, he must have helped you big time. That's right. Please keep this between us for now. Sure, Dad. I won't say a word. Your secret's safe with me. You know, my dad was quite the computer tech nerd. He was brilliant at what he did, and it earned him some big bucks. The thing about him was he never flaunted it. He spent his money on the people he valued and loved, but he was always modest and humble. You would never guess he had all that wealth just by looking at him. He was not one to show off. Like this one time, my dad's childhood friend found himself in a financial crisis. His business had taken a hit, and he was on the brink of losing his home. My dad, without a second thought, offered him a substantial sum to save his house and his business as well, and never even mentioned the money again. He had a big heart like that. So when I saw him buying that mansion, I was not really surprised. I mean, with the money he had, he could probably buy 5 of those places. But that was not his style. He had always put others first. It was something I admired about him. It was a few weeks later when something unusual happened. Camilla showed up at my apartment carrying a set of tools I had asked my dad for. It was entirely out of character for her to be helpful like this. Thanks for the tools. Would you like to come in for some coffee? Sure, I'll take that coffee. I could use some. So, Camilla, I've been curious about something. Why did you ask Dad to walk you down the aisle at your engagement party? I mean, you never seemed to like him much. Oh, Harper, you really don't get it, do you? Let me enlighten you. Your dear old dad, Owen, isn't my father. He paid for my college, gave me a roof over my head, and did his best to help me. He's like a sad old man trying to make up for his failures. Camilla, that's really harsh. How dare you talk about my dad like that? He sees you like his own daughter. That isn't enough. Harper, let's get one thing straight. I don't care about you or your dad. I'm finally getting married to Joey. He is rich. He can provide better for me, and I can even take better care of my mom. Owen is not my responsibility. You better work your butt off to help him because you guys are broke. Camilla, that is not fair. You know Dad would do anything for you, anything he can, which is not much, is it? Your dad's a good guy, but he's just not up to our standards. Joey bought us a new house. Did I tell you about that? It is lavish, spacious, and so much better than anything Owen could provide. Really? Here, take a look at this, 'cause you sure wouldn't be allowed in here. Your poor father could never afford a place like this for me and my mother. When I saw the picture of the house, I couldn't contain my laughter. It was the house my dad had bought some time back. Is this some kind of a joke, Camilla? That house my dad bought a while back, no. Joey bought that house. You were so oblivious to the truth. Harper, let's go over to Dad's place right now and settle this. As we drove over to Dad's place, tension filled the car. Camilla and I argued about the house. I couldn't believe she thought Joey had bought that house, which was actually Dad's recent investment. After a 30-minute drive that felt like an eternity, we finally reached our location. Martha was not home, and Dad was all alone. Owen, Harper just doesn't understand that I'm moving on to a better life with Joey. She thinks you bought that house, Camilla. We're here, so let's just hear the truth. Dad bought this house for your friend, right, Camilla? You are delusional if you believe Joey is responsible for buying this place. Hold on, both of you, let me explain. I did purchase that house, but it wasn't for some friend, Harper. Sorry for lying to you like that. It was for Joey. Joey told me he helped his aunt to pay for this expensive surgery and was running short of money. But he wanted to surprise you too with a new place before the wedding, Camilla. I decided to use my savings to help him. He told me to keep it a secret and promised to pay it back. That can't be true. Joey's aunt is in very good shape. I believe my dad. He's not the one lying here. You might want to talk to your fans, Camilla. Excuse me, I need to leave. Camilla left my dad's house in a hurry, her face pale as a ghost. I couldn't help but wonder if Joey had been lying to her. manipulating her into believing that the house was his grand gesture. A few days passed after that heated conversation. What I heard from my dad was the wedding had been canceled, and Camilla and Joey broke up. I couldn't shake off the anger and disappointment I felt about Camila and how she had spoken about my dad. I mean, how could she? After everything my dad had done for her, after helping her countless times, providing a roof over her head, and paying for her college education, she had the audacity to criticize him. But it wasn't just about my dad. It was also how she had ridiculed me for not being as successful as she was, for not having a so-called lavish lifestyle like she did. I needed answers. I could not let her think she could treat my dad this way and get away with it. So I headed over to her place. "What are you doing here? We didn't get to finish what we were talking about the other day. How could you say those things about my dad and me after everything he's done for you? He's been nothing but kind. Can you go a little easy on me? I just broke up with Joey. He had no money left, Harper. He gambled it all away, and the engagement ring he got me, that was fake. There was no aunt who needed surgery. It was all a ruse to convince your dad to buy that house for him. Harper, you and your prophetic dad are the last people I care about right now. Camila, it seems like you will never learn your lesson. I almost felt sorry for you, but with an attitude like that, maybe you do deserve it. So here I am in a world that is opening up for me. Camila, she's out of my life now." After our confrontation, I decided to break off all contact with her. And after all that has happened, I don't feel bad for her anymore. What surprised me, though, was the talk I had with my dad. I just had to let him know the truth about Camila's intentions. He was upset naturally, but it was high time he knew the reality of what had been going on. I had to make him aware that not everyone in our lives can be trusted, especially not people like Camila and her shady connections. You should never talk poorly about people or belittle them, because what goes around can certainly come around, just as it did with Camila. You never really know what someone is going through or what might come back to haunt you in the future. Cheers. My name is Lily Johnson. I'm a 50-year-old office worker who harbors a passion for the Japanese language since my student days. I can engage in casual conversations in Japanese effortlessly. At 23, I married for the first time. Unfortunately, my husband passed away just 6 months later in a tragic traffic accident caused by a drunk driver. Back then, I couldn't reconcile with the harsh reality and lived with a somber demeanor. Despite receiving $500,000 in life insurance after his death, no sum could fill the void he left. During my darkest days, Ethan Johnson, a coworker, became my solace. He patiently listened to my sorrowful tales for hours on end. Over time, I found myself falling for him, and we married when I was 25. However, I never forgot my first husband. Memories of our time together lingered vividly. I decided to keep the life insurance money untouched, preserving it for emergencies. A year after marrying Ethan, we welcomed our daughter Mia into the world. Mia, now a talented illustrator living independently, brought joy to our lives. One might assume we had a tranquil existence, but that wasn't the case. Our relationship soared when Mia entered her junior year of high school due to disagreements over her education. Ethan had meticulously planned Mia's future from birth, envisioning her attending a prestigious university. He enrolled her in tutoring services, believing it would pave the way for greater opportunities. While I didn't oppose initially, Mia's passion for drawing outshone her interest in academics. Even as an amateur, I recognized Mia's exceptional talent. I suspected she could carve out a successful career in the arts. My intuition proved correct when Mia, during her junior year of high school, announced her aspirations to pursue art professionally. I want to be an illustrator in the future, so I aim to attend an art school for university. Mia expressed her heartfelt aspiration. I want Mia to pursue what she loves, so I agreed. Lily recalled, nodding to her daughter's dreams. However, Ethan's reaction was vehemently opposed. Go to a prestigious university like Harvard, then work for a big corporation. It's more secure, and you'll be happier. He insisted, dismissing Maya's aspirations outright. Maya suggested starting with a company job, but Ethan remained obstinate. An illustrator. You're just playing around, drawing pictures. Ethan disparaged Mia's passion. I didn't invest all this money in you for you to have such a frivolous career. Lily couldn't remain silent. There's no need to speak like that. It's Mia's life. Let her try, she interjected, attempting to reason. Yet Ethan's response was even more vehement. Mia is my daughter. It's a child's job to fulfill their parents' dreams. If she lived as I say, she's guaranteed to be happy. His distorted belief shocked Lily. She hoped Ethan would eventually come around to support Maya's decision, but her hopes were dashed. Despite their efforts to persuade him, a deep rift formed between them. Lily took on the financial responsibility for Mia's education and living expenses, yet Ethan remained dissatisfied. Despite the challenges, Mia pursued her dreams relentlessly. She was admitted to her first-choice art university and worked diligently on her studies. Eventually, she landed a job as an illustrator and began living independently. However, Ethan refused to accept Mia's career choice. He constantly complains, saying we wasted money on tutoring services. It's embarrassing to have such a failure as a daughter, Lily lamented. She had hoped Ethan's views would change as Mia found success, but his attitude remained unchanged. Moreover, he directed his dissatisfaction towards Lily, criticizing her efforts at home despite his own inactivity. At this point, tensions between them had reached an all-time high. I came to the realization that this was his true nature, someone who couldn't tolerate things not going his way. His kindness only extended to Mia's obedience. A dramatic shift occurred when she expressed her desire to become an illustrator. Home became a painful place for me, and the solace I found was in the familiarity of the company where we both worked. Despite being employed in different departments, we strategically avoided each other. Around this time, I received a surprising offer that prompted a significant decision. Unexpectedly, my husband declared, "I decided to buy Mia a brand new high-rise condominium. She's still my precious daughter, and I want her to live somewhere nice. I've already started the paperwork with a real estate agent." Despite his apparent disdain for Mia, this sudden announcement raised suspicion. I questioned if he even had the means to purchase such a property. Upon seeing my reaction, he smirked and callously stated, "Don't worry. You're the one paying for the high-rise condominium. I know you've got $500,000 from your previous husband's life insurance. Use that money. I'm planning to live in the high-rise with Mia. You and Mia are ultimately my property, so just obey me." A surge of anger enveloped me. He had decided on buying the high-rise condominium without considering Mia and me. I couldn't fathom his thought process. Carelessly, he unveiled his scheme and intentions. Moreover, there was no way I would allow my significant life insurance money to be used for such a purpose. I'm truly a good father, buying a house for my daughter. If you oppose, it's divorce. Just give me the money, and I'm done with you, he asserted. In that moment, without mercy, I retaliated. I stormed to my room and retrieved the divorce papers, declaring, "Fine. Here are the divorce papers." Presenting him with the divorce papers left him stunned. He clearly hadn't anticipated my readiness. Yet this was just the beginning of the real retaliation. I couldn't help but smirk as I faced my bewildered husband. I began to explain what had been brewing in my mind for quite some time. I can't trust a man who discriminates against his own daughter like that. I'm tired of living a life where I'm constantly criticized by you. I decided a while ago to divorce you. I was just waiting for the right time to bring it up. And then you said you wanted a divorce. It worked out just fine. His attempt to use divorce as a threat left him completely flustered, and he stammered, "Oh, you see." Ignoring his feeble protest, I filled in the divorce papers and urged him, "Come on, you write it down too. You want to be free from me too, don't you?" In response, he reacted in rage, dismissing the divorce talk as a joke. Frustrated, I explained, "I don't understand you either. I don't understand why you would buy a high-rise condominium just to spite your own family. If you say we can't divorce, I'm willing to consult a lawyer. Begrudgingly, he filled in the divorce papers, still furious, and warned, "Remember this." It seemed like he might retaliate in some form if I stayed in the house. Without hesitation, I left the house and promptly submitted the divorce papers to the office. When I reported everything to Mia by phone, she shared my outrage at my husband's outrageous behavior. "That's terrible. You're right to divorce him. You can stay in my condo for a while," Mia offered. Grateful for her support, I decided to take her up on her offer. That night, Mia and I discussed and planned our retaliation against my husband. About a week later, on a day off, Mia and I visited the house where my ex-husband now lived. Despite having lived there just a week ago, it felt like someone else's house. When we rang the doorbell, he came out immediately, questioning our purpose. "What you two want? Did you come to apologize for what happened?" My ex-husband looked down on Mia and me with a condescending gaze. Suppressing my irritation, I spoke in a slightly weak voice. "That's right. I came to apologize because I thought I had done something wrong. I'm sorry, Dad." Mia, quite the actress, put on a remorseful face. Surprisingly, my ex-husband didn't realize it was a performance and seemed genuinely pleased, saying, I see. So you've decided to reflect on your actions." "Unhappy," he acknowledged, though curiosity tinged his tone as he eyed the bags we were carrying. "What are you doing with all those bags?" he inquired. We held bags filled to the brim in both hands, tied up so their contents remained concealed. From one of the bags, I withdrew a stack of $10,000 bills, real money. "I thought it was wrong what I did to you, so I decided to give you my late husband's life insurance money. You can live in the high-rise condominium with Mia. There's $500,000. Can you put it in the safe?" I requested. Entranced by the sight of the $10,000 stack, my ex-husband readily agreed. "Sure, please put it in the safe," he responded, allowing Mia and me into the house. Even though only a week had passed since we left, the house was already littered with laundry and garbage. It occurred to me that my ex-husband was quite negligent in tidying up and doing housework. Imagining his struggle living alone, I couldn't help but smile. Mia and I stuffed the contents of the bags into the safe. However, we discreetly returned the $10,000 we had shown him back into the bag, not the safe. Fortunately, he wasn't watching as he went to the kitchen, saying, "I'll make some tea." Upon returning to Mia's condo, I packed my bags again, ready to set out on my own to a new place. "Take care, Mom." Mia bid me farewell with a smile. "I'll contact you when I settle down." "Take care of yourself, Mia," I replied, leaving her condo with a smile on my face. 2 days later, I was asleep in my new home when I received a call from my ex-husband. "Hey, what happened to the $500,000? "There's nothing but garbage in the safe," he explained. Bursting into laughter, I thought to myself, he really took a while to figure it out, huh? My ex-husband had neatly fallen into my trap. The majority of what was in those bags was simply scrap paper. I had meticulously rolled up unwanted newspapers and filled the bags, claiming each contained $500,000. However, that was a fabrication intended to gain his trust. In reality, I only prepared $10,000 in real cash from the bank, which was promptly returned to my account. If he had requested to see the contents of the bags, I was prepared to show him, scoffing at the absurdity of the situation. Yet he was fooled by just the sight of the $10,000 and remained oblivious until now. You've treated Mia and me horribly. I think it's fair to return the favor. If you want to hold a grudge, hold it against your past self, not me, I declared, met with his desperate response. I understand I was wrong. Can we live together again? I can't afford the high-rise condo, and I can't manage the housework. My place has turned into a trash heap, he pleaded, revealing his self-centeredness. Taken aback by his audacity, I retorted, I'm not your ATM or your housemaid. You're an adult. Figure it out. Besides, I'm in Japan now. I can't come back to you. Indeed, I was now residing in Tokyo, Japan. This wasn't a mere overseas trip. Upon receiving an offer to work abroad from my company, I decided to seize the opportunity. I've always wanted to work overseas and study Japanese. The offer came before our divorce, and once I heard about it, I decided to divorce him and live overseas. It was a chance to live my dream and escape from my ex-husband. I had confided in Mia, but kept it from my ex, who was clearly taken aback. So that's why I haven't seen you at work recently. Why didn't you tell me? He inquired, to which I replied, why should I? We're in different departments, and we're strangers now. Before ending the call, I mentioned, oh, by the way, Mia has something she wants to say to you. Tomorrow, we'll call you at 8 p.m. your time, using a messaging app. Uncertain, he asked, is Mia going to live with me? My response was vague. We'll see, wait until tomorrow. As I drifted off to sleep, I anticipated his reaction to Mia's impending conversation the next morning. I had to rise fairly early due to the time difference, but it couldn't be helped. I initiated the messaging app and video called my ex and Mia. Mia wasted no time in expressing her sentiments to her father. I loved you when I was a kid, Dad. I respected you as a parent and loved you from the bottom of my heart, she began, and Ethan looked pleased to hear that. However, Mia's speech didn't end there. But that's all in the past. You outright denied my career path. That's when I realized your true nature. You just wanted to control me, and there's no love in that. I hate you now, and I don't want to see you again. This call is our final contact, Mia declared firmly. Upon hearing that, my ex seemed to be on the verge of tears. Don't say such things, he pleaded. His unexpected reaction surprised me. Maybe he assumed Mia would love him no matter what, but Mia's harsh words continued. This is how I really feel, Dad. You need to reflect on how you hurt Mom all this time. Also, I moved out, so there's no point in going to the apartment where I used to live. Don't use detectives or anything to forcefully find out my new address. That's all I wanted to say. I also conveyed something I had forgotten to mention earlier. I've explained the circumstances of our divorce to our workplace, relatives, and your parents. I don't think relying on them will do you any good. Well, goodbye, I added, and once Mia ended the video call, I concluded mine. My ex-husband pleaded, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I apologize, so please give me another chance. But I didn't care about that anymore. Later, when Mia and I spoke, she expressed relief. I feel so much better now that I've said what I wanted to, she remarked. I, too, felt relieved after seeing my ex-husband in distress. Unfortunately, it became uncomfortable for him at his workplace. Though he resigned, he was disowned by relatives and his own parents. Unable to buy the high-rise condominium, he had to cancel. Moreover, he caused a scene at Mia's workplace, resulting in being locked out and banned from the premises. My ex-husband, who persistently repeated his selfish behavior, ended up losing everything instead of gaining anything. He seemed to have lost all his energy and was now living as a recluse at home. A colleague attempted to contact him about work handover, but found him looking lifeless with a thick beard and a foul smell emanating from the room. According to the colleague, his house resembled a garbage dump. Observing my ex-husband living such an unfortunate life, I couldn't help but think he got what he deserved. On the other hand, I am enjoying my job overseas despite cultural barriers. Mia is flourishing as an illustrator, tackling big projects with enthusiasm. Both Mia and I are overcoming hurdles and beginning to shine in our lives, which brings me